turning the yarns in tow. Through Alberta's fields where the wild winds blow. Connie threads tales with Helen spin. Kim's got the tea, let the chatter begin. The Abiaks, they weave the sound of yarn and fiber all around. Knit one pearl, one story's flow. Tales of stitches everywhere we go.
I'm not that girl.
That's okay, neither are we. So,
Yeah.
it works perfectly.
Of course.
So, welcome back to the podcast. As you can see tonight, we have another special guest. I love it when we get guests. It makes our rabbit holes even more fun to go down. As last week's podcast did. So tonight we have Crystal. And Crystal, you have the Yarn Rebels. Now, can you tell us what in the world is a Yarn Rebel?
That is a great question. So, it's actually a group. It's sort of just like your guys's. How it came about was my mom is a longtime crafter, and she really wanted to learn to make socks. This was back like 2018, 2019, and like she was doing it on YouTube, but like it wasn't. She needed like hands-on, so she started asking around, and then she got a girlfriend that was like, "Oh, I have a friend who will teach you." So we met up for coffee, and it kind of spiraled into a knit group called The Yarning. And they met every Tuesday, and it turned into like 30, 40 people towards the end. It was a lot. And it was great, and it was wonderful. But then the pandemic came, and so then it was naturally we took a break. And then, afterwards, the group was so large anyway that there was sort of like smaller groups that were meeting out, and it was just so big, right? So there was a group of us, and we sort of clung to each other and hung around. And all the time before that, when we were going to knitting and stuff, I would always go with mom to the festivals because I'm not a big shopper, but she is. And I would be like, okay, but where are we going for dinner after? Or where are we going for lunch? Because I love to travel, Alberta, and I love good food and to drink. So I was like, that'll be the trade-off then. So anytime we would go to festivals all around, I would plan a lunch for us somewhere. And so that sort of turned into like, oh, well, maybe we should go away for the weekend before the festival and go all together. And so then I did that for a while, and I was still working. My last job that I was working at, I was a play school teacher because I'm an educational assistant, and it's a hard job, and I have a few health issues. So my daughter was going into grade 12, and I thought, okay, it's a perfect time if I take a step back, maybe give this rebel thing a little go, and see what we can do. And I think we're on year 3 now, and we've done a lot of things, and we just have a lot more to do, which is crazy.
It's funny because a lot of people ask, like, they go, well, what do you do? Like, what do you do when you get together? What goes on at retreat? We sleep, we eat, we knit, we chat, not necessarily in that order, and then it goes on.
Exactly.
We laugh.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's the community I am a crafter. I've done lots of crafts. I do like to knit. I've gotten quite good at knitting. I've been able to knit myself some sweaters and stuff. But none of that appeals to me as much as the community of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to help with Edmonton Fiber Frolic, and I was able to help with the Gathering Threads Festival. And so I got to have like an insider scoop behind the scenes as well, and also just being a patron and stuff. So I've made so many friends in the industry, and I was just like, I think that there's something here. And the other side of it is that I did always feel like I was always the loudest in the room. I'm a little cussy, a little sassy, and it wasn't always received well. And sometimes I felt like a complete outsider. But I knew there's other girls there like me who also felt like outsiders. And I also knew that there was like room for us all. And my husband and I go out to breweries and like go out to eat and stuff, and I'd always have my knitting with me, and people inevitably always come up and ask me. And I was like, there's so many of us out here that are, the peripheral ones, the black sheep per se. And so I just thought, well, I can't really find a group that's like right for us, so we'll just make our own.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind
That
of funny
works.
how that works. That's sort of how
Yes.
we all got together.
Don't have anything nice to say, come sit by us.
Exactly.
Because we'll make sure you don't have anything nice to say.
Yeah, so I've I've done a lot of fun things. We've done a VIP bus tour. So last year during local yarn store day, we hired a bus and we toured around Edmonton and went to a bunch of stops. We went to New Mana and Statement Junkie and the Divas. We we've done dye days at breweries where you come and you dye your own yarn.
Mm.
We've had a Rebel Jingle Mingle for Christmas every year. Yeah, we've done a lot.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
sounds like it's our sort of group getting together. Maybe not for the same reasons, but it's the same way, but definitely for the same reasons.
Mm-hmm.
That
Hmm.
um, and for the longest time, I really felt like you had to know the secret handshake to get in, to get to learn where the dyers were, where the good people were, where the people who were willing to share. And if you didn't
Yeah.
have that secret handshake, you were just nothing. You were like cheap acrylic yarn.
Well,
Oh,
and
bad
like
kind.
we all know people that are crocheters and just this general shame they feel at like especially at the yarn festivals because my friend would be like, "Oh, well, I crochet." And then they'd be like, "Oh." And it's like, "Actually, crocheters use double the amount of yarn. So if you're an
Mhm.
indie dyer, you should not be going, "Oh." You should be like, "Come and see what I got."
Yeah,
And
come over here.
Like that old
and
Disney
mom tells the
cartoon.
story. Yeah. Like, and mom tells the story about when we first started going to knit night, I brought my coloring book and crayons because I didn't want to knit. I knew how to knit. I can make washcloths. What do I need to knit for? And so so one of the biggest things about yarn rebels is I say we're multi-craftual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, nobody does one craft.
No.
Oh
No.
no.
I knit, I
Bunch of them,
crochet,
they
I
attract
quilt,
friends.
I smoke meat and do barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And feed
Everybody
people.
has more than one hobby.
I mean,
Yeah, I
we've
knit,
even
I
had
can crochet, I cross stitch, I quilt. And then I said, no more hobbies.
and then Penny
I
says
do it.
spinning wheel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I envy them because if I want to try everything, there's so much fun stuff, and I want to try it all and learn a little bit about it.
Yeah.
But I get it because like you have to go down the rabbit hole, and then it's like, oh, I own a loom now. It's like,
Hello. 2 spinning wheels.
yeah.
I have a spinning wheel, but no loom.
Spinning is something I do really want to learn.
Well, you have to, that is a skill you have to get into crafts. You
Mhm.
have to be able to learn how to do what you enjoy. So,
Hmm.
So
So
we are
yeah,
we are so excited about the Fiberfest coming up into Olds.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known Lori because I've been involved with Perry Fiber in Lacombe. I was one of the original vendors that was there.
oh
I
yay,
designed patterns, and so it was really fun to find out she was coming to Olds and bringing fiber back into Olds. I know it's not Fiber Week, but it is coming back, and the response has been phenomenal and it's exciting. And then when she posted there was a parking lot party, I go, yes. So
yes,
what is the parking lot party? Because apparently the rebels are at it again.
yeah. So I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now. The first parking lot party that we had on local yarn store day was at New Mana, and she was having a pop up that day. So Ginger Snap was there, and that Yarn Habit, and a bunch of them, and so we literally set a tent up in the parking lot, and I just posted. I said, "Bring your chair, we'll be here," and we were there all afternoon. It was wonderful. So when Lori said that she was doing Olds, and I knew we were going to be going because Lori's festivals. I I've been to lots of festivals. I helped organize those other ones, but Lori just has the special sauce. She has all the right things, and I just love her festival so much, especially as someone who's multi-craftable. The fact that it's not just all yarn or fiber. Like she really tries to make sure that there's a little bit for everybody. And I love that. So she asked us a few years ago to sign up to help with Goldies, and we did that, which was really fun. So we hosted Goldies Gathering. And this year I was like, okay, well, what should we do for doubling up? And she was like, well, what about a picnic or something? And I was like, well, the picnic's not really our style, but I was like, a parking lot tailgate party is something we can get after. So there's a beautiful park right, like kind of like a green belt right behind the Pomeroy in between that and the like the dorms and stuff.
Yeah.
So again, we'll have tents. You bring your chair, bring yourself, and it really that part of it is like we always talk about how we decompress because we would go for lunch and then we'd be like, man, I gotta go back to the show because I didn't see that or I didn't see this. And you need that go out, sit down, look what you've bought, and then circle back around and buy again.
Hmm.
Yes, there's never such thing as one go around.
No. Well, and there's so many new vendors, which is super exciting. And I'm assuming there's lots of people from Olds area and all that, which is wonderful and exciting.
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember if there's lots from the area. Well, I know loves Grace or Grace loves alpacas are
Grace
there.
Alpaca?
She's local. Yeah, she's local, just outside of Olds. She has some beautiful yarn, lovely soft squishy. She was at the Christmas market we went to, Kim,
Oh, yes.
in Olds.
Yes.
Yes.
When it was like 18
Yeah.
above.
Speaking of alpacas, we're going. So, one of the things that I've been doing with Yarn Rebels this year in 2025 is that I wanted to get back to the craft roots of things because I was getting bored. And also, there's so many in Edmonton. Like, we have such an amazing, diverse craft community. We have embroidering, we have basket guild and quilter, like everything you could want is here. So I was like, oh, I want to learn more about them and I want to feature them more. So I launched something called the Craft Coalition. So for each month we do essentially an event, and one will be a field trip, one will be like a lesson, and one will be a fun craft. So for example, this time we did doodles and drafts with Jessica from Barry Ellis, and she set up her doodle bar and taught us all about the doodle packs from Pacific Knit Co. Then we had Jolene come and we did a measuring session and took all of our measurements and like learned about gauge and how to alter patterns for yourself and all that kind of stuff. And next month, well, it's like right away, we're going to the alpaca farm. We're going to Twisted Sisters Mill
Oh,
for
That's beautiful.
a
Rosie.
tour. So excited. And there's
We-
babies, I've heard.
oh yes, it's that
Oh.
time of year. When we
Yeah.
were in Drumheller in October, we went to Rosebud River Mill, and Alexander gave us a tour of her mill, and we got to see all the fun soft squishies and all the little wool buds. She was going to come to our retreat this year, but it was lambing season, so
Yeah.
It's amazing what they do. Like how much work it is. It's amazing.
Hmm.
and Ann Geddes owns A&B Fibers, and she does alpacas, and she lives just east of me, and she now has her own mill set up as well. So she does all the processing right there.
Helen, I have to
Yeah.
ask you, is that
Processing is
Ann Geddes,
crazy
like the
too.
photographer?
No,
Okay.
The baby photographer, yeah.
maybe that would have been really cute. No, no, no. So, but she has a. But when I met her at Lacombe at Prairie Fiber Festival, and she had this beautiful sort of silvery blue fleece, and she said it was from one of her alpacas, and she bought it specifically for that color. It was a natural color, and it was like, so I drooled all through the show, going, "Oh, I gotta take some of that home," and I did.
Sometimes you just have to. Sometimes it just like you see it and it just sticks with you and you're like, I just have to.
Hmm.
Do I need it? No. Do I want it?
Yes.
Bet I do.
Well, and just from looking at the olds list, it does seem like they have quite, I don't know, maybe not quite a few, but more fibery type people, I would say, than just
Uh,
yarn dyeing and stuff.
yeah, I think some of that still is the old Fiber Week stuff. But yeah, I'm just so excited that we've got two now, that are not in the big cities, which is nice because those of us in the rural areas feel much more comfortable not having to drive in traffic.
Well, at Knit City, don't get me wrong, it was lovely. It was lovely
Oh,
all around, but it was so overwhelming
yeah.
that I just walked around looking at stuff and I was like, I don't even know what to do. Like, I don't even know what to do.
Right.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see a Knit City, but I'm sure it would just be like, okay.
It's very overwhelming.
Yeah, it
And
sounds
then
like it
I
would
heard
be.
too, like, well, in the Calgary one was only like a third or something of the vendors of like the Vancouver ones and stuff. And I was like, are
Oh,
you out of your mind?
wow. You'd have to save all year long just for that?
But then sometimes don't you think that you do kind of get to a point where it's like, even if you have all the money and you can buy everything, there gets to be this like paralyzing point where you just, I feel like you're just like, oh, I want to buy this and I want to buy that, and sometimes you just get so overwhelmed. Like I often will walk out with nothing, which is not good either.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I try to go with an idea in mind. I'm going to treat myself to X or Y and then see what else talks, but I'm usually looking for one specific thing. So,
Yeah,
And if I'm
that
debating,
is
I'll go.
helpful. Like mom for a whole year.
Oh,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Kim. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, if I'm debating on a yarn at a show, I'll walk away and check Ravelry to see if I can find a pattern that I want to make with it, and
That's
then go
good.
back for it.
Mom did a Mom did a whole thing for a whole year where at the festival she only bought tonals because
okay.
she said, I know, like if she was going to buy, her justification was like it's a tonal and I have so many one single skainers from because we fall in love with them and you got to buy
Hmm.
them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So she thought, well, at least if I get tonals or solids, at least then I'm building upon a stash. And I was like, that's a good idea because you're still
Yeah.
going to buy something, but at least you can justify it in that way, I guess.
Hmm.
That's kind of cool.
Definitely. Yeah.
Choose a color for the year and make sure everything you buy is in that color tone.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That could
Or,
be interesting.
like if you're a sock knitter, you like, okay, I'm going to build up, like, often mom will get sock stuff because, like, I don't personally knit socks, but I know everybody does. So
Yeah.
it's one of those you can always have stock yarn and it'll be good.
Yeah, and it's used for so many other things too. So,
Yeah. Yeah, the parking lot party, now weather, I always say we're Alberta girls, so hopefully the weather will be good.
Yes.
yeah.
It's just windy. If it's the wind is, been a problem lately, but
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like it's a good time. I know we're definitely planning to be there. So,
Yes.
Yes.
who are you most excited to see?
Oh,
oh, for vendors? Hmm.
I like
Kim?
Fireweed Fiber. I fell in love with their Black Emerald,
Hmm.
and they're out of
They have a
province,
really
so
good. I've been looking at Manitoba,
yeah,
Winnipeg, or something. I think, right?
yeah. I think they're in
Yeah,
Manitoba.
they have great fades. Because I was looking at this, it's called the Light Bright or something. It's a pattern and it's like a fade sort of. And I was looking to try and stash bust, but it's hard sometimes to do that when you're trying to make it work. And a girl at knitting was like, "Look at this fireweed," and I was like, "Oh yeah," and like this, great fade set.
Hmm.
Yeah. And for me, I know that Yarn Habit will be there and Rose Hill will be there, and I love them both. So,
Me too.
I will be
Yeah,
there at both.
yeah, yeah. Robin's stuff is so beautiful. Another great variegated. One of the other girls at knitting is knitting her light bright with one of Robin's sets.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Yeah. Who
Well,
are
I
you
am
excited
really
to see,
looking
Helen?
forward.
Well,
Yeah.
see, I like a lot of this. The stuff I bought lately has been Sassy Strings. I really like
Mm.
hmm,
the feel of their stuff.
yeah,
I'm very textural. If it doesn't feel right, it can be the best yarn in the world. But if it doesn't feel right, sorry, I'm not doing it. The other person we're looking forward to meeting up with, and she is meeting up with us, and I have to look at her name because I never remember her last name, is Carol Ballog. She does patterns and pattern kits.
Oh, the book, yeah.
So she's one of the vendors at Old. She was so excited. She texted us as soon as she found out she was coming. I'm at Olds. We're gonna be meeting up.
Yay.
So we're all staying at the same hotel. We're actually heading up Friday night. So she stayed at the hotel. So we're gonna try and meet up Friday night. And
Yeah,
so
I think
yeah,
we're heading up Friday night too, so
yeah,
same thing. It's everyone's just so excited. It's like an excuse to go away.
Mhm.
Exactly.
yeah. It's like a 10-minute drive for me, but I don't care. I'm going away.
We're all coming to you.
That's right.
We're coming to
So
take
that's
you
a good.
away.
But coming to take me away. Doesn't take much. Well, it was just funny because I was thinking the other night, it would be really cool maybe if Friday night we should sort of get the word out and go, we're all going to be there. Let's meet in the lounge and do a lounge something or the other.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
really big, we're really big on alliterations, and I couldn't think of anything to go with an L. So,
I can think
but
of
they
one,
have a
but it's
beautiful
not
foyer.
an appropriate.
All the better.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's the problem with this group. Why? Because I mean, there isn't a Goldies, or I guess it's an Opals at Olds this year, but I thought it would be kind of cool if we could all meet, because they have beautiful foyer and area to sit down at the Pomeroy.
Well, what if we did it
So,
as a pajama
Well, and
party?
that's why without her,
oh, we could do a pajama party.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do a pajama party. Good.
Okay.
Yeah. See what happens on our when we get together.
Right.
well, and
Get the
I
right
think a lot of
dinners.
people are heading up the day before and probably making a thing of it, and
Yeah.
yeah, because like why not, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and that's just it, and it's a great chance to chat and meet and share, and
Yeah.
it was interesting. We had Jeannie be on the podcast a few weeks ago, and she's a recreational therapist, and she came on to discuss the mental and health benefits of crafting, particularly fiber arts. And she was so excited that we ended up doing 2 sessions with her because there was so much she wanted to share. And one of the studies she shared was that they sort of did it was a study on the chemical reactions in your body to crafting, and 100% of the participants showed an improvement. In fact, they had to run the test again to make sure that it wasn't sort of a glitch.
That's fascinating.
And it's like,
And I mean, I know
go ahead.
well, and I do that from school. Like I saw that with the kids, right? Because even the kiddos that don't want to craft or sit down and do the art, they inevitably feel so great after, and they are so proud of what they've made. And that making something with your own hands thing is not like that's crafting, and that's something you can't
Mhm.
replace with anything else. Like it's probably like winning at a sports thing, right? Winning as your team is like you can't get that feeling unless you've won the basketball championship.
Yeah.
And it's the same with like building with your own hands and then having be like, someone I like your shirt and be like, I made it.
Yeah.
Like that
And
sort of feeling is I just think you just can't replace that.
well, and you can be having a bad day, and crafting is textural emotional release, because you can release whatever's gone on with your day through your hands and into your project.
Yeah. You can break needles too that way.
I know a lot of people were sitting and knitting during the hockey game last night. I was one of
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
Maybe
It
I'll
is
have to
funny
join the
too
game
because like
tomorrow.
I've felt my knitting, my emotions in my knitting where I'm like, wow, I must have been mad this row. Or what was I doing? Like what was I doing? It's so tight and angry.
Well, I'm sure we all judge how we're doing mentally by how much we knit or don't knit. I mean, there are days where just even the thought of trying to even knit and purl is just beyond you, and then you sort
Well,
of
in this
look.
heat now too, like it's plus 28 here, right? So like
Yeah.
it's not really, you don't want to knit a lot when,
Exactly.
Not anything
Mhm.
right?
big anyway that has to sit on your lap or anything.
No, that's for little projects. That's where socks are handy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do get the draw of knitting on socks, but mom uses a 9 inch, which is little, like my hands are too big for that. So I've magic looped, but I get the ladders and I'm not great at it. And I've done DPNs, but it's annoying. So I don't know. It's not as there. I'd rather go back and forth on a shawl or something than that piddly. I call it piddly little shit.
For
Like
the
it's just too
for the
finicky for
ladders
me.
on for the ladders on Magic Loop, what one of the lady who taught me to knit socks told me to do was when you start your new needle, after your second stitch, yard up on it and tighten your stitch because it won't pull down on the stitch that's on the cable, but
Yeah.
it'll tighten that ladder. So
Oh, that's a better tip than the one because I have heard the one where you're supposed to yank it right when you go, but I was like, it doesn't really. You still see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that works really well because I can do socks without laddering them now. So,
And probably practice too, like because I don't do it so often. I'm sure that I would get rid of the ladders if I really.
Mhm.
Right.
But
yeah.
I'm a more of a like a product knitter, I guess, or a project knitter. What's the different or process or product or whatever? So I would rather knit on a sweater for a longer period of time and have that be done than like whip it out and just, you know, the process of it. Mom is much more of the process of the knitting and try a new pattern, try this, try that. And I'm like, I don't think I want to try that.
Do you
Pretty.
have a favorite go-to sweater pattern or?
I've knit the throwback twice because I have it's just a yoke and then I have the cardigan version too. It's pretty
Hmm.
plain, but I really like because I do like color work, but a lot of color work is I don't want to say dated is maybe not the right word, but can be dated and not modern. But I really find that Andrew Murray one with like the deep, it's like sort of like lightning bolt things. It's a
Mhm.
different. So I'm drawn to anything like the girls make fun of me all the time because I'm drawn to non-traditional patterns
Right.
and like unique construction. I really like unique construction styles,
So,
but that leads to trouble.
do you like Stephen West then?
You know what? You think I would, and I love Stephen West for everything he's about because the idea of like mashing it and like trying to make different stuff. But I'm not a texture person, so like all those textures to me is just like. Now that being said, I've had a lot of friends who've knit them in solid colors and stuff, and they're wonderful and beautiful. And
Mhm.
I love how his brain works, and I love that he keeps pushing and he's like, let's try this, and summer hits and summer misses,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
Have you looked at Grey
yeah,
Owl for her color
And
work patterns?
every pattern is like that.
yeah, she has wonderful stuff. That's why the doodles are fun too. So, do you guys know when I say the doodle packs?
I saw them in Numana. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're really fun too because like talk about modernizing color work. And so at our coalition, the way we did it is that Mom picked a deck, I picked a deck, and Jessica picked a deck from Barry Ellis, and we picked three. So mine was the Spellbound, I think it was the witchy one. Mom picked the camping one, and then Jess picked Rhinebeck, which has like sheep and the yarn ball and all that. And then everybody got to pick through all those and make up decks of their own, and then they were supposed to go home and work on a cowl, which some of them are doing. But it was just like if you've never done color work, it's a great little intro to it because it's bite size and it's kind of fun too. You know, like you're like, oh, I'm making a cat or a whatever, a crystal ball. So it's kind of fun that way. You can bust your stash, which is great,
Mhm.
and it's modern and fun, and I'm really enjoying it.
Okay. Might have to get one of those then.
Yeah.
I'd like
It's
it to.
Well, and
Yeah.
you know, each deck comes with 2 or 3 patterns. It comes with like a cowl pattern and like an infinity tube maybe or something.
Hmm.
So it's a great value. There's also digital. A girlfriend just told me the other day that you can buy them digitally. So if your mom and the girls are like, is it Knit Companion that they use?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah.
Yep, there's one of them.
Yeah. So she said if you buy the digital, you can port it right into your Knit Companion, and then boopity bop boop, there you go.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So and she's got so many decks. Like it's the amount of decks are crazy. But they
Yeah.
all have different designs, which is also insane and crazy and
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
I really like the young, modern side of the craft, I guess I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's room for every side, and that's a good
Yeah.
one. So.
Yeah. Well, because it makes I'm the whole thing that I'm trying to do with Rebels is like I say, we're not your grandma's crafters, so I'm hardly gonna knit your grandma's sweater. That's not right. That's not really my style.
Yeah.
So something fun and different.
Yes.
Who
Exactly.
are your girls' favorites? Do you have favorite designers?
I
I
really like
haven't
tin
really
pan knit.
developed a real favorite yet. I'm liking Tin Pan Knit for sweaters,
Yeah.
but I want to
Yeah.
try some Gray Owl stuff when I do more
Yeah.
color work.
The next one I really want to try is the
I
query
got back into
sweater,
color work.
but it's brioche.
Query.
It's on Knitty,
Ooh.
and it's just a two-color sweater. It's with a little bit of mohair held into it, and so you've got the two colors kind of at the top. So, yeah.
Hmm.
Sorry, Helen, I interrupted you.
My next one is that I want to do as soon as the Getty. Oh, sorry, Helen, you go. It's
Oh,
Jethro, or not Jethro. It's the same girl that does the Jethro now. Tanis Fire Arts. So you know
Okay.
the Jethro, which was like the granny square cardigan.
yeah.
She's
Yep.
got a new shirt. It's actually this style sort of, but there's like two granny squares here, and then it's just a T.
Oh.
So it's really cute too. Again, modernizing
Yeah.
like shape. Even the Jethro is great.
Yeah.
Taking
Yeah.
it from the grandma and throwing it in the new
Throwing it in
age.
the blender. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like color. I like color work. I got back into color work during COVID. Arnie and Carlos hosted a quarantine knit along, and every week a new graph was released, and it was to build a blanket. So it was just like a 4x6 square that you did in color work, and all of the
Mm.
people involved in it contributed. So you ended up with hundreds of different types of squares and colors and designs. So there were some traditional, some that were really off the wall. So
Yeah.
it was really nice to get back. And I just love color. And I mean, I knit and crochet, and I love being able to combine different methods and styles together. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
understand why if you knit something, it only has to be knit. Why can't you crochet? You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah.
That's the other thing that a lot of my girlfriends, or something I've definitely learned through the yarn levels, is like that there's not as many of the crocheters that are as high of a level as like knitting sweaters and stuff, but there's a lot of them out there, and they are using indie dyed yarn, and they're like a very strong part of the market. And also, like, I have these two girlfriends, and they just always pick the cutest crocheted stuff that's modern and different, and not like, sometimes crochet stuff can be like blocky because it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
not the shaping is a little, and it's not, and it's like, oh, that's been really inspiring too, is seeing these girls make really cool garments in crochet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they say
I'm not that.
crochet is the one craft that you cannot be created by machine.
Yes.
If you ever
Oh,
see anything crocheted in the store, it is handmade because they cannot
Hmm.
build a machine to crochet.
that's interesting.
Makes sense.
Knitting
Yeah.
they can, but not crochet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Well, I'm excited to hang out with you guys at this parking lot party.
Yes, me
well,
It's
so
too.
Mm-hmm.
going to be
and
fun.
we'll have to talk to Lori about putting up the pajama party.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the vendors will be there setting up and everything. So everyone will be bumming around anyway. Why not?
So yeah, it's exciting. I can't believe our half. We've been on this for 35 minutes already. It's like yes, I love when the evening goes quickly. But
Yeah.
we're so. I was so glad you came and joined us today. We were looking forward to finding more about this parking lot party and more about Yarn Rebels. What we read on your website and stuff made you sounded just very much like us. It was like, oh, that's why we do those things. So it's
That
nice to know
resonated.
we're not the only wackos out there. So,
That's right. And honestly, I know that to be true because there's just so many of us, and we're just the peripheral, and I'm trying to put us out in the front for a while. Everybody else has been out in the front. All the sports fans get to be loud and obnoxious everywhere. So why can't the knitting group or the crochet group?
you bet.
Exactly. We
Yeah,
found more of our people.
yeah.
Woohoo!
Well, it was same at retreat. We met more of our people at retreat too. We had a great time at our retreat. So in Drumheller. So
Aren't they just
looking,
fun just to get away for the weekend, just to have a break?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just
Um,
so. What I think is one thing I've noticed about your girls' retreats, I don't know, I don't think I've looked into it well enough to see the pricing, but I do know sort of the model is that you're doing it the same as me, and we're trying to keep it as affordable as possible
Yeah.
definitely.
because not everybody can afford, the prices of some of the other retreats, and that's the only reason I started doing retreats is because we were already doing it with ourselves, and I was like, oh, I've done that, and then I was like, I'd like to be able to offer an affordable option for people because I just know that you, how nice it is to have that option to go away, but also to not have to be like, oh, I took a whole vacation from my family so that I could go away.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and we run it under Yarn and Yonder for the retreats. So because we're the Yabby Yaks, our home corral is Drumheller. So every April, and we changed our dates. So we're not this same weekend as you now. We don't want to be in conflict.
Oh,
Not only that,
oh,
Creekside changed their date to our weekend. So
I know. And the days keep moving around. And May is the worst month, I'm sure you know, because you have May, you have Mother's Day weekend, and you have May long. So there's really 2 weekends that you can have it anyway. But May is seems like the right month to
yeah,
like
yeah.
people are itching to go, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we bumped ours back into April, so the third weekend in April. So we're not in conflict. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't, because we thought it would be
that's
kind of cool.
very sweet of you.
We could also maybe
I'm stepping
sneak.
on your toes. You guys were here first. Like I said, I'm the new kid on the block. I know that.
Don't worry about it. We're having fun. And then
There's room
What
for
in
I've
everybody.
heard, well,
in
and
the
you know what
fall.
I've heard. Are you girls part, or were you girls part of some of the girls that did the original train ride stuff?
No.
No. Oh, a train
Okay.
ride?
There
Hmm.
was apparently way before my time in Edmonton and stuff. There was apparently a group of girl, like it was like one of a group or whatever. They did a train ride to Jasper or through Jasper, and it was a knitting one,
Oh.
Oh, can you imagine if we did
right?
VRBO from Edmonton to Vancouver and back? That would
Oh
be
yeah.
such a blast.
I'm
No, no,
sure it is.
that's the Rocky Mountaineer. If you do via rail from Edmonton to Vancouver, it's not as much. The Rocky Mountaineer was $5,000. That's what it costs to go on the Mountaineer, one way.
One way. Yeah.
One way.
I'm serious, one way. Um,
We have a joke. We have a running joke about how like we all are going to save up and we'll get to go away. It'll be so great. And where do we think we're going to be able to afford to go? Saskatoon.
don't laugh. We've been
'Cause,
talking about that already. We were thinking we could
hey,
just Boston all go together. So
we'll go anywhere. Honest to God, that's the thing I also learned early on is that the place you're at, like the sleeping arrangements and that kind of stuff does matter, but where you're at, as long as you're closest to some place that you can run to the grocery store or whatever, once you're there, nobody cares where you are. It doesn't matter.
no,
Yeah. So.
yeah. So we mandated it.
Oh.
was wonderful.
Hmm.
For you, probably not for Kim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, Mom and I decided to like we do sometimes do cooking or we do sometimes do catering, just depending on the situation. But like I said to Mom in the very beginning, if it's going to be just us working all weekend, that's just a lot of work all weekend. And there's a balance you could find that
Yeah.
works.
Well, we just decided when people liked being able to have a pool and a hot tub. That seemed to be their big criteria. So that meant we
Yep.
needed a hotel. So in April we do Drumheller. Every
Well,
year we do
and
spring is Drumheller. And then in the fall
well, and if
we're
you have a good place to go, then you gotta go.
yeah, and then in
Exactly.
the fall we're doing the and yonder. So we're going yonder and we're traveling all around Alberta to some of the smaller locations that don't have retreats and opportunities to get together with groups and so on and so forth. So that's sort of
I
what our
love
mission.
that.
So I mean, maybe we should collaborate on one and do one together. That would be a blast to
We
figure out where to
should.
go.
Yeah, wouldn't it though?
And we have
Wild
talked,
times.
when we saw the price of the one in Jasper, the Overlander, we sort of went, yeah, we could do a cruise for that.
The other thing,
So
and I'm assuming, I know you guys do a little bit of some programming, I would say, but the same as me is like, I offer a little bit, but it's not, because I've also heard from people like, when you pay that much and you go, you feel that you have to take all the classes because you've paid for it. And it's 3 or 4 days and it's jam packed. And it's like, you really, what kind of vacation slash retreat is that? So I like to do I offer a Friday night wellness hour. If somebody, it's an optional class if they want to take it. Same on Saturday morning, an optional class. Take it, don't take it. I don't care. Sleep in bed all day. It doesn't bother like you do you.
Yeah.
But
You're
I,
here. Yeah.
yeah, right. You're here, and it is what it is. But I don't want you to feel like, oh, I was just running the whole weekend because we just were like doing this and this. That's not relaxing.
no, ours are very
So
relaxed. We have a skill session, but it's not a specific time. It's on Friday. So whenever we decide if somebody wants
yeah.
to do it, you know what? It's available. We'll do it. The only thing we do have that is scheduled is we do a gift exchange. And so everybody brings a gift.
Oh, fun.
And we used to do it that you could steal it. Well, this year we found a game die that sort of goes. So this year, everybody chose a present. You can't open it. And then you rolled the die, and it was everything would change with the person across from you. Everybody moved their present one to the right, or there was one that this is now yours. And then you got to open it. So you so that
Oh, you
was
had no idea the whole time.
you had no
Yeah.
idea. It was such a blast. We've decided we have to do that again. It was much more fun than the
That's
stealing.
awesome.
So, and that's the only
And
thing we
everybody
kind
likes
of.
to get a little something.
And
Oh
again,
yeah.
it's optional. If you
Yeah.
don't want to be part of it, you don't want to be part of it. It's the only thing schedule really is
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
well, good. You know what? It's been. Yeah, oh, and dinner. Yes, Saturday night we have a community dinner. And
Yeah.
some of our people bring spouses. That's fine. We'll include them. They've got to pay for their meal, but that's okay. We'll include them in the meal, and it's just a relaxed time for us all to finally sort of get together and start decompressing and figure out what we're gonna do.
Right?
So yeah, we've just had a great time, and certainly we'll plan on keeping going with it. So
Yeah.
That's
so anyway,
awesome. Well, I'm very excited to meet you in real life.
yes,
It's
Yeah.
like
yes,
2 weeks away or something. It's so soon, I think.
Oh yeah. Wow. It is
it
too.
is. I
Yes.
know. I looked at the calendar
Every,
today and went, oh shoot, it's Tuesday.
everybody, all that anybody cares about is what day the Oilers playing next. They don't care. It's like, people, we have a real life. What's happening here?
I don't know. I live in a house of sports fans, so
Yeah.
I have to care about that.
Everybody's just like living to the next day. They're like, oh, wait, what day is the next Oilers game? Oh, wait, what day is the next Oilers game?
Tomorrow.
I know. And then tomorrow, if we win, it's like good, right? We've won. We're going to the cup, I think.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So tomorrow's a big one, I guess.
It is a big one.
Mm,
Yeah. Tomorrow
Tomorrow.
night, if we win, then yeah, you'll
Yeah.
go to Costco. It'll be quiet. I'll be here with everybody else yelling
Yep.
at the TV. So
But you know what?
fun stuff.
I always say too, it's great for the local restaurants and for the local scene. It gives a
Yeah.
big bump, and that's important too. So,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good.
although if a sports bar closed at your park, I probably wouldn't be sad. Rats.
All right.
Well,
we
thank
look
you for
forward-
having me, girls.
Hey, it was
Yeah,
wonderful
lovely to
to
meet
meet
you.
up with you, and thank you for sharing with us about your rebels. And
Yeah, check out the website, check out my socials, and yeah, I'll probably bump into you on Friday night when we're bumping around.
we
Yeah,
certainly
we will
will.
see you at the hotel.
If you're doing a pajama party, let me know.
We
Okay.
will. I'll be talking to Lori.
Yeah, of course. Let us know. We'll come over.
Sounds like a plan. All right. Well, thanks for the evening. Thanks for joining us, and we'll chat with you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Wheels are turning, the yarn's in tow. Through Alberta's fields where the wild winds blow. Connie threads tales with Helen spin. Kim's got the tea, let the chatter begin.